here's another League of Legends game coming away, this time in the form of a post-game commentary from normal draft mode as Diana in the jungle. So, to warn you right now, first and foremost, at the end of this video I will burn what's left of my blue essence to buy 2 more mystery champions. So if you have any sort of wish for who it's going to be, cross your fingers now, because I'm not going to spoil anything during the video. But anyway, this is the page that I used on Nocturne, except I modified it. Instead of leaving the zombie ward, I swapped out for eyeball collector. Overall, I don't really like that mastery on AD characters, because at max it gives you, I think, 18 AD, which is not really that much. But on an AP character it'll give you 30, which is actually a decent amount to me. Basically, for Diana, I'm not going to be building the death cap, so I want as much extra sources of AP as possible, hence the Gathering Storm plus the Eyeball Collection. Now, I will be going over the CDR cap, so I'm going to be getting a little bit more from the Transcendence as well. But otherwise, I am banking on the Ravenous Hunter to give me healing as I clear, and then Sudden Impact, since your ult is a jump, that should just give you a little bit of extra penetration, and as a result, you can do a little bit more. So right there I wanted to look at the amount of AP offered. You actually get more going Sorcery into something else than going Dominance, or Domination into something else. I was kind of curious as to why that is. Maybe Riot felt Sorcery was like a little weaker on its own or something, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, you can see the team comps here. We have a Fiddlesticks mid. You don't see those too often, although this one doesn't really do that poorly. He's up against Talon. We have Eloy top up against Jace, and then we have Kate paired with Bard bot against Shen and Ezreal. Meanwhile, I'm Diana in the jungle against Lee Sin. So unfortunately the Eloy talks a ton of crap during the game, and I'm going to mute her partway. Like, I actually do say stuff in chat over that. But otherwise, for Diana, for the Electrocute, it's not quite as good on her as Thunderlords. Like, the trade-off is it does more base damage, I believe, but it has a slightly lower ratio. So that's kind of the trade-off. And I did try a game with Ravenous Hunter, not with Diana, but just in general, and I think it's called Ravenous. No, that's not Ravenous Hunter, it's Dark Harvest. And I don't see what the hype is about that. I guess it's decent if the game goes late enough, but I don't really like, this is the longest game I think I've played in a little while. And even still, it wouldn't have made that much of a difference. But anyway, that is the legendary Lee Sin skin. It is currently up for early discount, but by the time you guys see this video, it will no longer be. Overall, it's a really nice looking skin, and if I actually played Lee Sin, I'd probably pick that up right now. But I don't, even though I just unlocked him due to Mystery Champion. Anyway, Eloy is running her slow stuff. I don't know if that really synergizes well with the tentacles. Fiddlesticks is running the Comet, and I'm wondering if that may be his best choice. If I ever get around to jungling him, I want to check. But otherwise, Bard is running Airy. I do recommend that, and Caitlyn has pressed the attack. As for the enemy team, Jace has pressed the attack. I want to say he's more of an Electrocute type, but I'm not 100% sure. Az is running Klepto. Talon is running Electrocute, as is Lee, and Shen is running Aftershock, I think? But yeah, Shen is running Ignite, I need to point out. So if you look, the only exhaust is held by Fiddlesticks. Now the reason why this is significant is because if I get snowballing, they don't have a damn thing that can stop me. I'll basically just jump on Jace, he dies. Jump on Talon, he dies. Jump on Lee, he dies. Jump on Ez, he dies. Jump on Shen. I have to wait for the Q to come off cooldown, then jump on him again, and then he dies. But yes, Shen's a little bit too much on the tanky side. You will see me kill him, don't worry. I will get my whole eyeball collection and all the stacks of Ravenous Hunter. It's just he makes me work for it. Pretty much the only thing keeping them in at times is that Shen will ult them as I'm going in, and somehow they'll sometimes survive. Other times they still get splattered. But anyway, one of the reasons... Oh yeah, I need to talk about this. So they recommend the medallion. Do not go for that. Grab the machete instead. Now, the reason for this is twofold. The first and foremost is the medallion only does its bonus damage if you have extra health, which you have to use either the resolve tree or a specific sorcery mastery, I think, will give you 100 health at the cost of 10% damage for the first 10 minutes. That's the other way to actually get the Kindle effect, but otherwise, I really do not recommend going for that unless you're going to go for someone tanky. Like, if you know you're going to play a tanky jungler, then sure, go nuts. Like, I'm kind of curious how things are going to play out when I finally get around to Hecarim. I'll have to see what everyone else is doing. That was a really nasty Dark Wind, by the way, if you didn't see. Ez just got chunked out. But anyway, as I was saying, I actually did lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, the jungle items. So if you're playing a tanky jungler and you know you'll get the bonus health somewhere, like even for, say, Scion, if you don't go Resolve for some reason, he and Cho will actually get health as they stack their infinite scaling stuff. For Cho, you do have to wait till level 6 though, so just keep that in mind. So they can actually get a little bit more use out of it. As a result, like, I think the machete is going to be the go-to thing for most junglers. I'm still a little curious how Fiddle's going to play out because he may be in a really bad spot for all I know. Now, the secondary reason for the machete. I moused over the Diana passive, but whenever you proc the Moon Silver Blade, you get an amount of mana back scaling off of your AP. Not your mana or level or anything, it's just AP. So the machete will give you attack speed, I think it's like 10% extra when you're hitting stuff. That will allow you to get a few more extra procs off, and that's going to be how I sustain my mana at a couple times during this game. I really do get that low. And unfortunately, some of the times when I do get that low, I actually do have to finish jungle item, and I'm trying to wait for the Runic Echo proc. So anyway, if you're wondering how she works, because you don't really see her as much, your Q is Crescent Blade, yeah, it's Crescent Blade. You throw out the blade, it arcs, marks the enemies with Moonlight after it passes through them, like right here I'm sustained with the passive. Unfortunately at this stage it's only 3 mana, so it's not really a lot, but once you get to the Runic Echoes it's something like 10, I think. So it marks the enemies with the Moonlight comes into play for your ult. Your W is Pale Cascade. So you put those orbs around you, each orb will detonate on contact with an enemy or neutral monster, and it will deal a little bit of damage. When the third one goes off, it will refresh your shield. It actually does add on to it, so if you, like just say the Scuttlecraft for instance, that will increase the amount of shielding you get, even though that's will only matter if like the jungler comes out and tries to fight you. Your E is Moonfall. It does no damage, but pulls all things around you in closer to you. It has the passive effect of increasing the attack speed bonus you get from your passive. As for the passive, that is Moon Silver Blade. Every third attack is AoE, deals bonus damage with an AP ratio, refreshes, restores a little bit of your mana. And the secondary effect is when you cast a spell, for the next 3 auto attacks, you get a little bit more attack speed, kind of like how Lee Sin's passive works. Except Lee's is 2 and hers is 3. Although the comparison is even more relevant when you remember that Lee's passive does give him energy regen, so it gives her a little bit of mana, nowhere near as significant as Lee gets back though. Then finally your ult is Lunar Rush. You target an enemy, you dash over to him. If Moonlight is applied to that enemy, it will the ult will come off cooldown immediately and you can cast it again. So basically one of Diana's simplest combos is QRR. And once you have, like, level 11, I'll say, 2 ranks in the move, maybe an item, well, I'd say 2 items at that point. Sometimes that's enough to actually kill someone. And then keep in mind, if they survive somehow, by all means, hit W, hit E, and then just start beating the crap out of them with the Moon Silver Blades. So right there I'm hitting the scrying brush to see if the Scuttlecraft is still here. Wasn't really sure if Lee took this already, and I wanted to get a little bit more gold before I went back. So I'm trying to be greedy and have 1100 when I go back, that way I can go ahead and pick up the completed jungle item, which I really do recommend rushing pretty much these days. Especially on someone who uses a lot of AP to clear, like Diana. I imagine Moo Moo and Fiddlesticks are probably going to be similar. Basically, that will make it so you don't have to worry about the Kindle effect, it's just automatically enabled. You don't have to worry about health, etc. Then it just boosts your damage a little bit, I think.
They could not break me.
So right there I'm pinging out, hey, Lee's going mid. And right here I want to round up a little bit of extra gold before I make my next recall. That way I can try to get either boots, another amp tome. I'd recommend getting another amp tome before getting the Aether Wisp, even though that's kind of like a compromise item. Might be the best way to describe it.
The moon also
Right there I was too busy watching bottom to see that that didn't respawn. Basically it'll give you a little bit more AP, gives you a little bit of movement speed, but nowhere near as good as the two separate components. Basically, if you were to buy that, the 10... I'm trying to remember what the scaling is on your Moon Silver Blade regen. I want to say it's every 5 AP you have is 1 more mana you get back. So that'll only give you like 2 more mana back if you were to get that before getting the second amp tome. Anyway, right here I'm trying to do a little bit of counter jungling to set Lee back. Want to make sure to leave one small chicken up, that way he's set back somewhat. And then our buddy the Scuttle's back up, so we can go ahead and take him down too.
they would not.
So right here I want to make sure that I actually drop that, because there's been too many games on this channel where I walk around with that in my inventory for like 15 minutes. So right there, getting the extra amp tome.
Will be heard.
So 9 mana back, and I'm sitting on almost 60 AP, so... Man, that's a weird ratio. It's 0.15, I think?
Embrace the night.
I'm trying to think of what actually has that low ratio normally, but I guess just because it's a regen thing, it's like that. So anyway, Eloy does come out to an early lead, which makes her extremely cocky, and then she's going to start feeding hard and blaming us. So anyway, like one of the nice things that I'd have to say about explaining stuff early is, during the early game there isn't really that much going on.
Also rise.
So while you're just watching me clear, I can explain a couple things, and then as soon as I finish, we start getting into the action. So Fiddle's heading down bot. I was a little skeptical on this working. I didn't really have level 6 to get my ult up, so I could basically gap close. As a result, I just want to take the scuttle crap, and maybe we can drag this out into the river. You can see they had it warded anyway, so it was definitely doomed to fail from the start. But anyway, Lee died top. So I knew for certain that the blue buff was up because Eloy doesn't have it. So right here I'm looking to see, are they coming down, is someone coming to check, and so on.
Embrace the night.
So with that, I did steal their blue, and I have the Lunar Rush finally. So right there they burned Shenel for a failed tower dive. Everyone's expecting the other to tank, I guess. Ez goes down. Right there, I pulled Talon out of his vault, so he couldn't jump the wall. Even though, like, he didn't complete the animation, that still puts it on cooldown. So as a result, I was able to just finish him off. It's my first stack of the Eyeball Collector, as well as my first stack of the Bounty Hunter and Ravenous Hydra. Or not Hydra, Hunter. Some of these names are getting too damn similar. But anyway, that gives me a nice little chunk of gold. Get some pressure off Fiddle. You can see he's pressuring mid, as he should be in this situation, and most importantly, we really did punish their dive. In addition to all that, of course, you do get Bounty Hunter stacks, you get stacks for Eyeball Collector, and so on. So right there, Eloy bites the dust, and that's going to be a trend for a little while. But right now, I'm just trying to make sure I keep getting gold, because the whole Diana thing gets significantly easier once you get the Runic Echoes. That way you actually do have like reliable mana regen in the jungle, not just your passive. And the funny thing is, once you actually do have the Gnasher's Tooth, then yeah, your passive is a completely legitimate source of mana regen. So you can see right there they took the blue. It's kind of obvious since I didn't really put a lot of pressure on top. Overall, I'd say we still came out much, much further ahead down bot. Here's our buddy Lee. And unfortunately, I fell a little short. The Triumph actually pushes him back to safety, otherwise he might have actually died to red buff. But anyway, right there I do have enough gold to go ahead and get the Runic Echo. And where I go from here is, first and foremost, boots so I can run around. And then the Amp Tome, this is a flex item of course. You can turn it into something different if you need to, but more often than not on Diana that's going to become the first part of your Gnasher's Tooth. Now, due to the changes, do not be too concerned about gaining a pair of daggers first, because that'll give you more attack speed and by extension more passive procs. You have a bit of a balancing game going on where you have to decide, do you want bigger procs for regen, or do you want just more procs? That's the choice you kind of have to make. So anyway, right there we got Shen's stack, and I'm aggroing the Wind Dragon just in case Ezreal wants to recall right around there. He's going to eat Dragon Fire, but you can see since the dragon came towards me, that meant he's not there. He actually did retreat into their jungle, possibly thinking we were following. So right there, Talon goes down. So overall, that was still pretty good on Eloy's part, because she did manage to get a kill when it took 3 of them to bring her down. I don't know if that's the whole glacial thing or not. From how I'm just trying to picture this working is maybe she slows them, which makes it easier for the other tentacles to connect, and as the tentacles connect, they heal her, and so on. So right there, I'm just being a little sarcastic, and she's going to start bitching in a second. So right here, Kate is completely dead to rights. The one that's up for grabs is Ezreal. And lo and behold, Kate actually does survive. So right here I was hoping Lee was going to jump in. So there's Bard, and that kind of gave it away, I'd say. Unfortunately, my ult isn't up for me to get over to him, but we can force his flash. And right here I'm completely Like, right now I'd want to either farm or go back, one of those two, but Fiddle's going to force a fight, and that's going to cause... Alright, not yet, but that's going to be in a second. So anyway, right here is one of those moments I was talking about where, hey, the passive is the only thing keeping me going. Basically, I'm relying on those 3 auto attacks to get the next chunk of regen, which in turn will power the next spell to give me 3 more autos, and it's just this little cycle that's going on. So Bard shows up to help out with the DPS. That's kind of needed, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to move around right now so I can try to charge the Runic Echo a little bit, because that will give me more. And right here, it's Bard that's going to force the fight on Talon. So I really didn't want any part of this. So right here is why I start to suspect Eloy's on drugs, because she seems to imagine hearing something that never actually took place. And the funny part is you guys actually have access to everything, so you can kind of confirm that. So yeah, I really have no idea what her problem is, but I don't want any part of it. So right here we're grabbing the Stinger. Actually, I changed... Yeah, I went for the pair of daggers. Okay, so right there I was valuing the flat penetration more than the CDR. So one of the games I tried to record before this, Jax got in an argument with me over building Sorcerer's Shoes. One of the things I have to point out this season that a lot of people don't actually understand, flat penetration is extremely overpowered right now. That's both magic pen and armor penetration, lethality, if you want to stick with what Lee calls it. So that 15 points is actually a crap load, because if the AD carry wants it, they have to build either Hex Drinker, Scimitar. There's one other one, I think. Edge of Night, I think, still gives MR. Actually, I don't know. It used to, at least. But later on in this game, you'll actually see me looking at the enemy's MR stats because I'm trying to figure out what I need for my final item, which is going to be Leandri's Torment, if you want to know, because, like I'm saying, I cannot emphasize enough, flat penetration, OP.
I will be heard.
So I'm wondering if Ez is going to loop around here, and I kind of wanted to cut him off. And there he is. So right there we forced his summoners.
They would not listen.
And I'm kind of cool with that. I mean, I already have his stack from Bounty Hunter when I ganked bot and saved Kate with Bard. That gave me his unique stack, and then I still have a few eyeballs to get. And I don't think I mentioned this, but when you're dashing to various targets, you actually do, that counts as distance towards your Runic Echo.
I speak only.
So you can, like, it's very easy for Diana to get procs off just in general because of how she spams her spells. And then the whole jumping aspect of the Lunar Rush just makes it even easier.
I cannot turn back.
So right here I suspected that was warded. So I give Lee a little bit of a parting present as I fall back. You can see I took a nice little piece out of him, especially for how little it cost.
Dusk approaches.
You can see how durable Shen is getting.
No false light.
So right there I wanted to clip him a little bit, but no dice. And you can see they've all moved mid while she's screwing around the pit. So I was legitimately confused on why she's doing this, but she's just full troll rage mode right now. So right there she hands them the Rift Herald, does all the heavy lifting for them, gives them a little bit of extra gold for their trouble, in the form of her life. And I was a little curious on why Bard did that, but it kind of works out for us in the end. So right there, Lee's shield saves Ez. And then Ez got greedy for some reason. Yeah. But anyway, the thing that I want you guys to take away from that one fight there is, don't do the fucking Herald when they're right there! Like, that should be freaking common sense, but not for our Eloy. So anyway, right there I'm getting the Sapphire Crystal. That's not going to give me any sort of combat stat, but the thing is it increases my mana pool, and that will in turn mean I get more mana back from the Runic Echo.
Embrace the night.
So right here, Cade is trying to stay optimistic. Generally, those are the types of players that annoy me the most, just because, like, there's a point where you're between being optimistic and being flat-out delusional. And your average player completely leaps that line from being optimistic and just being stupid. So I don't really want to chase him, because if we leave this alone, the tower's toast. You can see it still lost like 80% of its health. And we still got Talon anyway.
Your turret has been destroyed.
So right here I want to go back and make sure that this isn't pushing in. Plus it's just an opportunity for me to get more gold. Now I believe I've said it in other videos, but with the whole sustain change stuff, it's a lot better to get water dragons these days. Like, this is the premier source of regeneration in the game. So right there with that, our sieges are a lot stronger. It's going to give me more mana regen, so I'm not going to be in the situation where I was with the previous dragon, how I had to keep hitting that thing to get my passive proc, and so on. Meanwhile, Eloy is just going to barrel forward. She's going to teleport out, so watch the minimap.
Not listen.
If Lee ulted her, Shen taunted, I mean, even, crud, what's her? The Jason. I don't think I've ever actually said what his hammer E is called, but it's one of those things I just don't really care to learn. So right here I'm just trying to occupy Shen. And unfortunately Lee was right there. Otherwise that would have been a clean getaway. So right here you can see from the invulnerable technicals that Eloy did ult. It's just I have no idea what she actually got out of it or why she did that. And pretty soon she's actually just gonna pout and sit in base for a while, so this is why I'm in no rush to get to diamond, people. Instead of having one of these assholes on my team, I'd have 4.
The moon also rises.
So down goes Talon. So I just need to remember, if anyone ever asks me why I don't do any sort of like climb to diamond video, link them to this one.
An enemy has been slain.
Down goes Jace.
Shut down. Shut down.
And this is a little bit unfortunate for the team. So as returns, I have to show up to bail them out. Unfortunately, I only get to take part in one of the kills, but it was still a pretty big teamfight win for us. And right there you get to see Kate's optimism.
They could not break me.
So right here I was a little torn on whether or not I should have went for Talon. Due to him being able to hop the walls, it's sometimes hard to stick to him. It's one thing when you can actually pull him out of the wall hop when you're using Moonfall, but that's not always reliable. One of the nice things about taking the jungle farm, though, is since counter jungling is a lot more effective than it used to be, with the whole lack of... Wait for it. So right there, he smited that. Nice ult, bro. So anyway, without the catch-up EXP, it's much, much more devastating. And if you notice, I took a lot of Lee's stuff. I mean, I cleared out the bottom side of his jungle. Right there, he did get the EXP from the red, but it cost him his life, so he's not actually generating gold right now. He got the EXP, but he's not getting the items. Meanwhile, I'm free to go into my side and take whatever I want. Luckily, with this much CDR, even using my ult without the Q proc, it's still pretty heavy. You can see Talon lost like a fifth of his health right there, and my ult's already back up. Like, I really don't want to picture what it's like if you use Ultimate Hat, because you might just be able to say, screw landing the Q and just spam R to kill. That'd be a little messed up.
The moon also rises.
So I can't see what Lee's actually... Okay, he's fighting Bard. If you notice the base,
Has been slain.
As did get the chicken, but it doesn't really matter. I was just hoping he came a little closer. He still gets screwed over by the dark wind, but it's not as bad if I could have just jumped on him and pretty much insta-gibbed him. So right there, Talon did get to safety in the end. And that's pretty much what I mean by Shen is like their lifeline here. So the thing you have to remember is the Shen ult has, I believe, a 2-minute cooldown at its highest rank. So if we can pick a fight in the meantime, there's no intervention from him coming. So that was kind of an interesting interaction there. I was wondering how the Cosmic Binding actually changes its direction if he moves. Like, would it still stun him because there was terrain behind him at the time, or would his movement cause the angle to shift or something? And you can see he didn't get stunned in the end. So right there you can see that I'm getting, well, what I'm getting from Transcendence and the
They could not break me.
Gathering Storm. So notice the guy that I can jump to is the one that had the stasis on him. Still, Shen goes down. Didn't know if Talon had stealthed back in or something because he just went off my screen, so that's why I used the Moonfall. Instead, Bard was actually hunting him down, I guess. So even though they got the dragon, they're still kind of out of position. And we still get the tower in the end. So right there I was wondering, is Lee going to go in on Kate? Because I can ruin his day, but he didn't have the backbone for it.
I will be heard.
So yeah, I didn't even get to proc the Runic Echo there. Heartbreaking, I know.
Chosen of the moon.
Once again, by clearing out the Golem camp, that's still denying Lee some EXP, some gold. And right here I was hoping Talon would jump the wall into us. Instead, we get a visit from Shen. And that's one of my favorite things to do on Diana, how you can save your ult for when they flash. Thing is, my ult's currently on cooldown, and as a result, I can't hop the wall to get in this fight. So right here I wanted to hit Jace to disable his Wind Dragon, and Talon showed up after all. Bard gets the kill, but oh well. As hops the wall, only get hopped back over it. And at this point I knew they have the means to chase me. I mean, Lee is still here even though Talon's dead. Didn't know if he was going to hop over that. If he did, I planned on moonfalling him into the tower, and you can kind of imagine what happens after that. So if you look at Jace's build, that's a little bit on the interesting side.
Embrace the night.
So he went for the items that scale before the flat ones, and that's one of the reasons why I'd say he kind of lost. I think Ez went down.
Only truth.
But anyway, continue on that tangent. So the Black Cleaver and the Last Whispers, those rely on the enemy having a lot of armor to penetrate, and it takes time for them to build said armor. So if they don't, then you're better off going for the flat stuff and not even here. So Jace goes down, I have to pull Lee back. Then we want to give this to Kate since she's actually starting to become relevant. Talon goes down to Eloy. Right here I'm just kind of hoping, well, one of them walk into me, because you know what happens if they do. And that's just outside of Luna Rush's range, I'm afraid. So this is the easy Baron. As what I just said implies, don't worry, there will be another one, and that one's going to be much, much closer. And if you didn't see what exactly happened, it was alive with 5 hit points. That's why Kate had to kill it instead of the Smite doing it. So right here I'm just trying to pick up some idle gold off the map. Doing so will push me a little bit closer to getting the Zanya's Hourglass. Right there you'll see the Hex Tech Ward, the one you need the 5 gemstones for. I'm gonna sell my potion, I'm gonna grab the stopwatch. So this is the first time I've shown this item on the channel. It's a one-time stasis effect use, and you can finally reuse it after you upgrade it into the Hourglass. Like, I think even if you sell it and buy it back, it's still broken, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Basically, since Riot should have the code line around from the Guardian Angel item, it should work that way, it's just can't emphasize it enough, spaghetti code.
My eyes are open.
Now, since they want to pressure mid, I need to basically draw someone over here for me to kill. So I want to pressure this, get the Baron buff going so that we can just pressure 2 lanes at once, split their focus, and find something to take advantage of. Lee was not looking, so right there is the Shen ult. He ults me over the wall, only for me to run back. I pop my Hourglass, or my stopwatch, I guess. And while they're chasing me, we're seriously taking their base. Like, their mid is wide open now. Tunneling OP. So right here I ping out Lee. Pretty much they should just leave this alone, either pressure the Nexus or get out. Got my Hourglass. Right there you can see that the Eloy's Guardian Angel popped. They killed Shen, but I wouldn't say he's worth the Guardian Angel.
Destroyed a turret.
Kate has to burn her summoners. Bard lost his mouse. Poor Fiddle. That has to be so obnoxious, man.
An ally has been slain.
Not turn back.
But that's pretty much why Jace has the Mortal Reminder, in case you're wondering. He has to deal with Fiddle's Drain. Plus, Eloy is going to heal a lot from her tentacles, too. And I guess Bard has the heal, Kate has Lifesteal. Yeah, hell, even I have Ravenous Hunter. Anyway, we get to add a Cloud Dragon to our pool. And that's a pretty good one for Diana. Don't remember if I ever really talked about it, but since you have to actually run in there for people, being able to get the extra movement speed to do so is pretty valuable.
They could not break me.
So don't forget, wards do count towards eyeball collection. And I know eyeball collection is getting nerfed, so it's... well, let's face it, everything in that tier is going to kind of suck. Maybe the ward thing will become the best after all.
I cannot turn back.
So keep in mind, I could pass this to Fiddle, but I'm not that good. Also, just keep in mind, every time I put a point into E, my passive attack speed goes up. So you saw how fast I was swinging before? Yeah.
The only truth.
An ally has been slain.
So Fiddle's trying to sweep. And the thing is, we can kind of force them to come to us because of the mid lane being open. That's kind of what they're doing right there. And then take this to deny it from the enemy. Down goes Lee. Talon and Shen get to safety-ish. You can see Shen turns around, which was not in the best interest of his health. And I wanted to hop over the wall of Talon, but he popped his Ghostblade to get out of range. So right here I'm providing peel for Kate, that's why I ulted in. Basically I can pull him back with a Moonfall, Kate gets a couple more hits off, and she lives, he dies. Right here, I'm just trying to zone a bit. Yep. Talon still does go down in the end. Kate kinda needed to move. We get Lee in exchange for her and Fiddle. Overall, not really that good. You could argue, well, Eloy got a Nexus turret, yeah, but the thing was probably gonna go down anyway. But anyway, with this, their base is wide open. You can see Baron is coming up. We just need to grab the Baron and end the game.
An enemy is legendary.
So right here is when I'm actually clicking on them to look at their MR stats. If they actually had something legitimate or real, whatever I consider it, then Void Staff would probably be better. As is, I'm just going for the Haunting guys because, like, they just have Merc Treads for the ones that do. I mean, Ezreal does have a Maw Malmortius, and he's like their tankiest guy when it comes to magic. Seriously. So right there, giving him the thumbs up. Right here, I'm just trying to hit level 18 so I have max stats. We have to wait a little bit for Eloy to come up. You can see mid inhibitor has respawned. And there we go. So you do not want to do Baron when the lanes are pushing. That's one mistake I see a ton of people make, and they simply don't get it. So make sure that your lanes are pushing out when you're trying to do this, because that way the enemy has to respond to them instead of you ignoring them and possibly taking tower damage and the like. So right here I'm trying to look for someone out of position. I was wondering who dropped that ward there, but you can see it's timing out. That's not exactly a fresh ward. So keep in mind, right here we're going to do something very, very difficult. We're going to take a Baron when there's a Lee Sin on the enemy team. So if you don't know, his Q2 is an execute. He can combine that with Smite, and it's very, very difficult to deal with. So, yeah. Like, I don't know what exactly they were trying. Lee didn't make a move for it, as did Shen ulted. I'm wondering, like, what did I just see? All the skill shots answer empty, albeit narrowly. So right here, I'm just going to take Lee out of the fight. Force him to smite the wolves. And that's pretty much it. As soon as Ezreal went down, they literally had nothing left. You'd say, what about Talon? And then I'd say, what about him? Pretty much if he leaves the fountain, he's toast. So right there they throw in the towel, and yeah. So I'll show the endgame stats, and then remember I'll be doing the last of my blue lessons on mystery characters, and I'll be doing live comp for that. I'll give my thoughts about the whole Hex Tech thing. Not a fan of how things have changed, I'll put it like that. I highly doubt the whole level up thing is going to remedy things, but like, it's just so half-baked, man. Did they seriously put this little thought into it? Anyway, for damage, you can see we're all grouped up together. Meanwhile, for the enemy team, it's all Ez. So, there's your other graph. You get to see the stats and stuff, and I'm out of here. So, we're going to live game next. Okay, so we're going to do another one of these. I leveled up twice. I'm level 33 up here, if you can see. I saved the champion capsule from 32, and we're going to open both right now. So, we start off with a 450 character. A pair of Ramus shards, he's 3,150 if I remember correctly, and a Taric, so he's 1,350. In the previous time I did this, I said Shin was 3,150, he's actually 1,350, so I got a really bad roll. I know he's 1350, so this is another one of those shit rolls that Riot says, oh, don't worry, these are rarely gonna happen, wink wink. So this one is even worse than the last one. And then this one was just a Jinx shard. So real quick, let's see. She is worth 90, he is worth 270, so that's 540, plus this puts you at 710, that puts you at 800. So I got 2/3 of the value of this one Jinx shard. Now, the other reason why we're here is I wanted to point out something. So I'm not going to be box hunting that much in the coming season. And by not much, I mean probably at all. If I get it, hey. And if you're wondering why it is, they changed the value that you get out of the shards. They are much, much lower than before. So as a result, if you get a box, like, what's the big deal? You're not going to get enough orange essence to actually unlock what you get. And there's like even the cheap stuff costs too much these days. So this is Ravager Nocturne, a 520 skin. You can see it gives you 100. It costs 220 to upgrade. The next highest we have is El Rey Volibear at 750. He's 150 back, 450 to keep. Janna here is the 975. So you can see we get about 200, but it costs 675. So the next highest after that would be 1350. We get 270 out of this and costs a whopping 1,000 to upgrade. So I'd need 4 of these in order to get just this one. So after that, you get the legendaries. So that costs about 1,500 to permanently keep, and you get 350 for getting rid of it. And then if you're really fortunate to actually get the ultimate shards, you can see you get 650 for those, but they cost 3,000 to keep. Like, getting orange essence is so difficult now that, like, what's the big deal in getting a box? I mean, even if you wanted to, like, buy a bunch of boxes and keys, unless they're going to give you more more orange essence just as you unlock the boxes, you can't do anything. Like, I'd say buying boxes right now is just a complete ripoff. You basically spend all this money, you get some stuff, and you maybe get to keep one thing out of those 10 boxes you got opened. That makes no sense. Riot for you guys. So I'm going to disenchant one of these Rammus shards. And the reason for that being is we're going to go buy a pair of mystery characters. I did get Skarner's 3rd shard, so I can upgrade him when the time comes. It's just, with the Blue Essence Emporium, if you want to call it that, I basically just refer to it as the Blue Essence Shop, you can get the mystery champions, and these will save you more money in the long run. So I'm going to be able to get either a 4800 or a 63, and as a result I'll save more, and then as I get more blue essence, which is going to take a fucking eternity based on this Jinx shard, I can eventually get Skarner up to Mastery 7. So without further ado, the first mystery champion we get this time around is Brand, who I actually have a skin for in the shards that I'm not going to use because it sucks. Not the skin, the system itself. Keep in mind, I don't really play mid, so I'm really not going to use Brand. The one I'm kind of hoping for is Rengar. Rengar or Rakan. Rengar or Rakan, come on. Pfft. So anyway, I'm not going to have enough essence by the time this shop leaves, so this is going to be the last of the mystery characters. So the next character I'm going to save up for is going to be... Hold on a second. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 27... Yeah, I think I had 29 last time that I needed. So, I'm going to try to save it for Rengar, I think, or Wukong, one of those two. So, while Gragas and Olaf can jungle, I see that, like, I'm not really a fan of them. So, they're low priority to me. But otherwise, I'm going to tack this onto the end of a video. I don't know what's going to happen. In case you're wondering about the Skarner one, yeah, that was a game we got to see Diamond players play like Bronze. They seriously ignored a Garen who just went in and took their base. I'd like to say I'm exaggerating, but no, that's literally what happened. They were too busy skirmishing on one side of the map, they ignored the top lane, Garen just walked in and won the game. Something I have not seen in a very, very long time, let alone against Diamond players. What can I say? Anyway, I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.